I accomplished a lot. There's really only one formula. If a king says something is getting done, it gets done. That precedes everything else. Weak men create hard times. We've all become weak. Hard times create strong men. Not to get too metaphysical, success principle is not going to work without each of these 3 steps. Now, luckily for you, you're your master. Freedom in this case would be achieving the goal. To become a millionaire, that's cool, but now, can I be a multi-millionaire? Can I be a billionaire? What's going on, guys? Today we're on the run, so we walking and talking. I just got through next workout. I'm going for a walk. But I was thinking, these last couple months, going on 3 months, I accomplished a lot. And there's really only one formula. Now, I knew about the formula, but over these last 3 months, I kind of really put it in perspective and rationalized it. And I got it from this book, one of my favorite books by author Stefan Aarnio, rest in peace. It's called Weak Men Create Hard Times. Hard times create strong men create easy times, and easy times create weak men. I think that's the order of it. What it's basically about is how men, especially in the US, have been living in such easy times that we've all become weak. But I'm not here to review that book. What I am here to talk about is a little passage from it where he says the formula of success: create like a god, command like a king, and work like a slave. Not to get too metaphysical, everything starts with thought, right? That's how the universe was created, really. God said, let there be light. So when it says create like a god, it's not saying you're God over anybody else, but it's saying you're connected to God and connected to the universe. So for anything to happen, for you to walk, talk, do anything that you do, before you do it, you have to think about doing it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So that's the first step. Create like a god is you need to think. You need to have the thought that precedes everything else. Now the next step is command like a king. And that has a couple different meanings to it. First and foremost, you need to, once you have the thought, you need to have the belief, right? Because when you think of an archetype of a king, it's not someone who's timid or I want to do this or I plan on doing that. If a king says something is getting done, it gets done, literally, whether it's by him or by his underlings or someone in his kingdom. If a king wants something to happen, it's going to happen. So commanding like a king is taking whatever thought that you have and making sure that it happens, right? Again, whether it's by you or your team or subordinate, or whether the universe has to step in, if you're commanding it with such force that it has no choice but to happen, that's the second key to making it happen, right? So those are the first two. And then the last one, and maybe the most important. Well, actually, I'm not even going to say that because they're all extremely important. And success principle is not going to work without each of these 3 steps. So the last step after you create like a god, you command like a king, the next step is to work like a slave. Now, obviously, that might have a bad connotation, but think about a slave's predicament. They don't have a choice. Whether they wake up and they're tired from the day before, they're sick, don't feel like doing whatever their task is, it's not in their hands, right? They're a slave, meaning they don't control what they're doing. It's given up to a quote-unquote higher power, which would be their master. Now, luckily for you, you're your master. You master your own destiny. But bringing that same ethic of being a quote-unquote slave to whatever work you're pursuing is a last step to achieving it. So that means doing the work, no matter whether you're too tired, you don't feel good, your heart's not in it right now, you're depressed, whatever it is. Once you take the choice out of it to say whether you're gonna do it or not, and do it every single day, right? Because again, slavery isn't when I feel like it, when I'm motivated, when it feels nice. Slavery is until I'm free, right? And freedom in this case would be achieving the goal, right? Then again, would it? Because once you achieve it, then the process kind of starts all over again. Once you achieve something, it's not time to kick back and say, oh, look at me, I did this, this, and that. What's the next step, right? Once you become a millionaire, that's cool, but now, can I be a multimillionaire? Can I be a billionaire? Who can I help? Whatever the next step is, the process starts over again. But it's the same process to achieve whatever your next, forgive me, cry for using the word, but goal would be. So again, the formula: create like a god. Everything starts with thought. Command like a king, the belief that you're going to do it. And another point with the command like a king is it could also be considered writing it down, which is extremely important. It said that people that write down their goals or standards are 40 to 42% more likely to achieve. So that will fall under commanding like a king as well. Once you have whatever goal that you want, you need to command it, but also write it down. Those are two different types of commanding, right? Because you can say anything, but putting it to paper helps solidify it. And revisiting that paper also helps solidify it. And then the last and final step is to work like a slave. And if you're doing all three of those things, then there's really nothing that you can't accomplish. A final caveat to that would be making sure that whatever you're using this process to accomplish is what's most important. Because a part of giving your all to something is sacrificing other things, right? Multitasking is a real thing. However, a double-minded man is unstable, meaning that you can't focus equally on two different things. Something has to take the forefront and something has to be in the periphery if you're multitasking. So make sure whatever you're using this process to achieve is what's most important right now. Meaning you might have to sacrifice other aspects of your life until this standard's met. So if you're broke and you need to get financially stable in your life, you might have to sacrifice spending time with friends and family to be able to get the bag, right? That's not saying ignore them and completely cut them off. That's saying put whatever you need to achieve in the forefront and use this process to do it. So an example I just gave, that would be, all right, I'm broke, I need to get some money. Step one. Step two, how am I gonna do it? All right, I want this amount of money by this time, and this is the hours I have to work or the side gigs I have to do or whatever I have to sell to be able to get that money by this time. And then step three is to do it, and do it like you don't have a choice. I just found that quote really profound. And a lot of times we know things, but it just takes hearing it to really spark it in our brain. Because if you really think about it, even without the explanation, if I just told you the 3 steps and you processed it for a second, you would be able to say, yeah, that's true. That's 100% on the mark. But I'm bringing it to you with the explanation. And I'm sure with the explanation and the saying together that you'll see that this truth, this process is undeniable. Now, the next step is for you to, number one, figure out the most important thing in your life right now that you need to use this process on. And obviously, number two, get to work. But that's the video for today. Hopefully it was not just motivating and inspiring, but hopefully it sparked something in you to get after whatever you need to get after. And I'm out. Peace.